So cell phone use in a vehicle. I think most of us know here in Alberta, we have a distracted driving law, and it came into effect in September 2012. So you are not allowed to use personal cell phone devices, but that also includes other things, not just cell phones. So you can't be texting, emailing, video games, that also laptops, and it even applies to other reading materials. So you can't be reading the newspaper. You can't be programming your GPS system on your location while you're driving. You have to actually stop your vehicle, program your GPS system, and then start driving again. If you need to answer a phone call, you use your Bluetooth system or a hands-free system. Anything, because you always have to have your two hands on the wheel. So anytime something's taking your hands off the wheel or even taking your attention off the road, that's the biggest thing. It's not only taking your hands off, it's diverting your attention. So your brain only has a capacity to focus really well on a few things. Like, actually, they've done science on it, and it's really only programmed to do one thing really well at a time. As you start splitting it up and trying to do multitasking, you try to also do a text while you're driving, your focus will shift to something else, and it'll likely shift to your texting. So now you're paying more attention to your phone than driving. And all it takes is a very split second. All it takes is one glance down at your phone, and then you didn't see the guy brake in front of you, and now you're in a collision, and an at-fault collision. It's your fault. So distracted driving is a big serious thing. It also even applies to personal grooming. And what they mean by that is, you might see girls doing their makeup in the car, they're checking their eyebrows, making sure that they're still on there, like putting your lipstick on, brushing your hair, anything like that. Those are all distracted driving as well. Those mirrors are for you to be driving, not to be looking at your makeup. So be mindful of that. There's also fines that come with distracted driving. And so breaking the distracted driving rule can result in a $287 fine. It also has 3 demerits, and we're going to talk about what those demerits are. So that's a pretty big fine. That's a lot of money to pay just for a text message. So I'm pretty sure whoever's texting you, your boo, whatever, they can wait. They can wait that extra couple minutes or seconds or, half hour until you get to your destination. Don't text and drive. It's something that we all take for granted, and I think experienced drivers even, we think that, oh, we can just look at it really quickly. No, it's still against the law. You cannot be picking up your phone and answering things while you're driving. It's a serious thing because of safety. So traffic laws, other traffic laws that you need to know. On page 95, I'm not going to read out every single one of them, but there are other traffic laws and infractions that you need to know about and be aware about. You cannot use your vehicle to tow another person on skis or on a toboggan or on a motorcycle. You may have seen this, especially on the res. You may see that people on their dirt bike, and then they got a rope tied to their buddy's car, and you're ripping around. That is actually highly illegal. And because of, honestly, obviously for safety reasons, you can't be pulling other people with your vehicle. So no one under the age of 14 may operate a tractor or a self-propelled implement of husbandry is what it's called, which means farm equipment, on a highway. So we talked a little bit about this on the day one, where you can drive like ATVs and things like that on private property. But if you're under 14, you can't operate it on a primary highway or a provincial road. If the view of your inside rear view mirror is blocked, so say you're driving in your vehicle and you have a whole bunch of boxes behind you, you're moving and you can't see through your rear view mirror behind you, you actually have to attach additional outside view mirrors, so that those additional outside rear view mirrors, what they do on those side view mirrors, they're bigger so that they can reduce your blind spots, and they can see partially behind your vehicle. So a lot of people don't know that. You do need to keep your back window unobstructed. Another thing is commercial vehicles, which we'll talk about, but commercial vehicles with a certain weight limit, they have to actually stop every few while, and maybe Caddy can speak to this. I don't know the exact terms, but there's certain, on the highway, there's certain points where they have to weigh in and get inspection. There's also things in a residential area. So a residential area means places where there's houses, where there's people living in their homes, right? It's not like a busy highway or a downtown city street. It's where people are at home living, trying to be quiet. There's kids, all that stuff. If you are in a residential area with houses, you cannot operate your vehicle in a way that disturbs other residents between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. So what does that mean, disturb other residents? So that can mean anything from revving your engine really loud, trying to speed through, having your music excessively loud. Like if you got some subwoofers in the back and you're just blasting your music at midnight through a residential area, you could get fined for that, or somebody could report you. Also, even your passengers, like say you're being the designated driver and you're bringing your buddies home from the bar, they're being excessively loud and screaming out the window, things like that. Those are actually against the law. You do need to remain quiet within 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. on a residential area. And understandably so, right? You don't want to be waking people up if they got to work in the morning, or, you know, a mom just got her baby to bed and you just disturb them. So be courteous. It's not just a nice thing to do, it's also against the, it's a legal obligation for you. Another thing is a person shall not ride or permit any person to ride outside of a motor vehicle. So what that means, like this example here, you got people riding in the back of the pickup truck. You are not allowed to do that. Your passengers have to be in a proper seat and they have to have a seat belt. So you can't have them driving on the roof, you know, holding on to the sides, in the back of the pickup, anything like that. Same thing if you have a trailer, like say you have like a fifth wheel and, you know, your kids are tired and you're like, just go sleep in the back. That's actually illegal. It's not safe for passengers to be anywhere in other compartments of a vehicle other than a seat. The other thing too is child safety seats. I don't really go over it, but they do talk about having proper restraints for children, young children and babies. There's certain weight restrictions and types of safety seats that they need to be in. And if you are the driver and there's any passenger that's under 16, if they're not in the proper restraints, you can get a fine and the parent can get a fine. So even if you're not the parent of that kid, but you're the driver, you are still responsible for making sure that people have the proper safety restraints and that they're using them properly as well. So even if you have like a 14-year-old in your car and they're not wearing their seatbelt, you're the one on the hook for that fine. So that brings us to chapter 7.